This episode of the Local Hustlers podcast is brought to you by Flamingo Pools, your go-to maintenance and repair company in the East Valley. Stop wasting your valuable time trying to take care of your pool and let the professionals at Flamingo Pools take care of it for you. Visit azflamingopools.com for a free quote today.
You're listening to the Local Hustlers Podcast, East Valley Locals. Get connected with small businesses near you and dive deep into their stories, mindset, and motives. Entrepreneurs everywhere. Get ready to be inspired by business owners, entrepreneurs, and hustlers that you can relate to and learn from. And now, your hosts, Dallin Huso and Ridge Waldberg.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Local Hustlers podcast. We got another great episode here. We are with Rajiv Patel, the owner and founder of Nico's Barbershop, the man behind the razor, doing all the tricks. So, Rajiv, it's great to have you here today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. Good to be here with you.
Yeah, awesome. Well, how about you take a minute and just kind of introduce yourself and who you are and kind of life before Nico's.
Yeah, that's kind of a hard question, But my name is Rajiv Patel. My parents are both immigrated here. My father was from India and my mom is from Nicaragua. And so I'm first generation here in the United States. I was actually born in Washington, D.C., the nation's capital.
Okay.
And bounced around a lot as a kid. And my father, growing up, he was an alcoholic, so he struggled a lot. And when I was 8 years old, he actually passed away. Sure. And so early on, kind of learned to, for lack of a better way of saying it, just figure things out, because we just didn't have anything.
Yeah.
My mom worked a couple jobs. She worked the morning and lunch shift at McDonald's, and then at night she'd go over to Sizzler and work the night shift there. So my brother and I, it was just him and I pretty much kind of taking care of things and each other. So we kind of learned early on, if we wanted something, we had to work for it, or, things weren't easy, And so anyways, few years go by and I started getting into music and played music professionally all the way up into my 20s. And
awesome.
I think part of who I am is a creative. I love to create things, and I need to create to almost be fulfilled and happy. And so that's kind of come into my life as an entrepreneur, starting businesses, and with like Nico's, is just that fulfills my creative side, and that's what makes it fun for me. So I don't know, that's kind of who I am.
Nice. What instruments did you play?
I play guitar mainly, but I play a little bass and drums, and but mainly guitar. So
what type of style?
I always play like rock music, and then I've done like solo stuff. And
okay.
Different things. So
Anything on the vocals?
No, not me.
That's cool. Well, I'm kind of interested just to hear a bit more about that. You said you did professionally, so what all did that entail in terms of traveling or?
Yeah. So when I was 16, the band I was in, we got a record deal, and so that was kind of the first, if I look back, like big decisions in my life. That was kind of one of the first big decisions in my life, because I dropped out of high school.
Wow.
And we began to travel the U.S. and traveled through Canada and Mexico, and every night was a different city. And so I learned a lot. It kind of opened my mind on the world, and I innately learned a little bit more about dealing with people in business, and then there'd be nights where we would be out, and we didn't have enough money to get to the next city, so we would have to like go to the mall and sell CDs, or or just hustle. Yeah, so it was just always hustling. Yeah, just figuring out how we're gonna get to this spot or that spot, but it was all for the creative. It was all for the love, And so we had ups and downs, and so.
When did you finally like hang up the guitar? And
so it was kind of in two parts. So when I was 19, almost 20, I served a mission for my church. So that's kind of a something that was an important event in my life that happened, like almost like an awakening. And so I guess, like you said, I hung it up and I served my mission in Peru. So I was there for 2 years and I came back, and then I started kind of getting back into it a little bit. And then, but I would say kind of hang it up was when I got married at 25. So that was about, 8 years ago.
So you did music for a while then?
Yeah, I did music for a while. Kept on the road touring. It's just kind of what I knew, felt real comfortable for me. So
did you love doing that?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, for sure.
What? Sorry, go.
No, I was just gonna say, I think some people are like, hey, do you miss playing music? And I think I don't miss it because I feel like I'm fulfilled in other ways, creatively. So like right now with Nico's, like, barbering and building the business and things like that, I feel like that creativity is being filled that way. So I'm happy, you know.
That's cool. So why did you decide to hang it up that second time when you were 25?
Just more stability. And then my mind started shifting more into investing and money, and that became fun for me,
Right.
Yeah.
And then at that time I was doing door to door. So I sold door to door for 6 years.
Okay, so that's what I was going to ask. Yeah, so you're doing
so that's a whole other thing too. So I would go door to door. I'd sell in the summer, and then I'd come home and then leave. I would go travel and tour and play music.
Okay.
And then the money that I would make from door to door, I would invest into real estate. And it was kind of a low point in the real estate market here in Arizona. The recession. So I'd buy properties and flip them and rent them, and and so that became fun for me. And then I eventually got my real estate license and got into real estate, and I still am. It's still a passion of mine. It's something fun that I like to do. So
that's cool.
What do you think music has taught you, like as like an entrepreneur now? Yes.
It's funny. Like I look back to writing music, and I can draw a parallel to writing a song to like really anything. This is a podcast about entrepreneurs and hopefully inspiring people to start businesses or keep pushing in their business. And so it's like with the song, you start with an idea. Maybe you're fiddling around on your guitar and it's like, oh, that's a cool riff. And then so that's the foundation of your idea, is just this one little part. And then from there you build off of it. You write the verse, you write the chorus, you write lyrics. And so that is the main thing I took away from being a musician is you start with an idea, and an idea is enough to build something complete,
That's super cool.
Yeah.
You think you could write us a new intro for this podcast?
I know, yeah, I got you guys.
We appreciate that.
So no college experience?
No, yeah. So yeah, I dropped out of high school. Yeah. I eventually ended up getting my GED just to have it, you know. But I took a couple college classes, but nothing. That was I was always curious on learning things from people.
Yeah. Okay.
So I had this thing where, and I still do, I love to meet with people that are doing different things, and I'll just take them to lunch and talk to them. And so I became almost obsessive, like trying to connect with people and seeing what was in their mind and what they did. And that's what inspired me. If I was having an issue, I would talk to someone that, maybe went through that before. And I'd offer to take them to lunch or meet up or talk on the phone. And so that was the biggest thing for me, was like learning from people.
Okay.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Cause I think a lot of people have an opinion that, if you don't go to school, where'd you learn?
Yeah.
And so for you learn through people.
I learned through people, and I honestly have never been afraid to take risks. And I think it kind of goes back to when I was a young kid, and I've always felt, and I still feel like I have nothing to lose. Because I know what the bottom is like. And so it's like I've been there before, so I'm not afraid to go back. So and so sometimes, I make decisions just from my gut, and, and someone can look at next to me and like, what are you doing? But for me, I'm not afraid of that bottom level.
Well, and you know that you can get out of that bottom level.
Yeah,
too.
I have faith in myself, and I've been there before, so that was always something in the front of my mind, whenever I would do anything. And even like door to door, I sold door to door, get rejected all day, but that's how I always had that mentality too. The more no's you get closer to that yes.
Yeah.
So that's how, I don't know, maybe from early on when I was a kid, I always had that in my mind.
Cool. Okay, so without any college degree, without graduating high school, how did you go from this high school dropout to becoming a savvy business owner and entrepreneur? Where did you get those skills? Was this all from, like you said, talking to people around you that you knew were successful, or where did you kind of learn these skills?
Yeah, I think, just like anything in life, you learn by doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I you guys will find out. I'm really big on analogies.
Okay.
Like, I don't know, that's how my mind works. But for instance, when I was younger, I learned to snowboard. Mm-hmm. And when you snowboard, you start on, they call it the bunny hill.
Yeah.
And you basically are learning just to stand up and go down the hill, but eventually the bunny hill becomes boring because it's not a problem. Then you go to the blue sections, and I remember this in my mind vividly because I learned how to snowboard over a season. And so once I felt like the bunny hill was easy, I'd go to the board and look and like, okay, these are blues. So the blue is like beginner, for people that haven't snowboarded or skied. So there's different levels. And so I would take the lift up to blues. And then once the blues weren't challenging to me anymore, it became less fun. So then I started looking at the reds, which were intermediates. And then I started doing reds. And then once that became less challenging to me, it was less fun. And then I started going into I never got like really into the blacks. I was always just like a cruiser, but I started doing a couple blacks and challenging myself. So I think how my mind is, and just to answer your question, is you learn by doing, but the more you do and the more you challenge yourself, there's a direct correlation with challenge and having fun, in my opinion. The more you're challenging yourself in business and in life, the more you have to overcome, and as you overcome it, that is fun. But there's a time where the bunny hill isn't fun anymore, so you need to go to the blues. And there's a time where it's like, well, you know what, like I got this blue down, I'm not challenging myself anymore, so this isn't fun. So it's a natural progression based off of overcoming the challenge you're in. And so everyone's just on a different hill, so to speak, or a different run. And that's why success is so vast. Someone who's could stand up on the bunny hill, and that's a challenge for them, and they do it. That's a success. And someone who's doing a double black diamond and doing it, that's a success too. So there's so many different forms of success and levels. But that's how if I look at it that way, that's how I look at it. Is it was just starting little, and then making sure I was always challenging myself. And then once that challenge was gone, I just stopped having fun, and I just went to the next level.
That's super cool. So do you think there's any sort of blanket definition for success, or do you think it's different for each person?
I think there's different levels of success. So for instance, someone that's listening, maybe they're in a job interview at GoDaddy. And if they get that job, they're going to feel successful. That's a great job. But then there's someone within the ranks of GoDaddy that doesn't have the next level, and he doesn't feel successful. So it's subjective based off of where you're at. But honestly, success to me is inner peace of where you're at. So it doesn't matter really what status you have or what title you have, are you at peace with yourself? That's success. It doesn't have anything to do with money or status, or you have this or that. It's just the most peaceful feeling in your heart. That's when you're successful.
Cool. Well, I guess let's kind of jump into why we're here today. Talk a bit about Nico's. What what made you decide to start a barbershop? Are you a barber like from the past? Is that what?
Yeah, so that's part of the story.
Okay.
So I'll go ahead and break it down. So after I was selling door to door, I started an alarm company.
Oh.
So I did my own. So that was part of getting married. I wanted more stability, so went ahead and did my own thing, and started that company and ran it. And then in 2017, I sold and got out, and I wanted to find that next hill.
Yeah.
So throughout that time, I had a barber. His name was Dave, and Dave has a barbershop called Dave's Barbershop. It's on McClintock and Baseline. And I used to have an office out there. That's why I went to that was the nearest shop. But then we moved out to East Gilbert, and I would still go to Dave. And so I would go every 2 weeks, and he charged $16 a haircut, and I would just give him a $20.
Yeah.
So I was essentially giving Dave $40 a month. In the business that we had, we would do the same thing. We would set up an alarm system and charge them. So it was like reoccurring monthly revenue. And the average system was $40 a month.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm like an alarm system for Dave, you know,
Yeah.
the economics of it.
Yeah.
So I always was fascinated with barbering because for a number of reasons, but on the economic end of it, it was like you create reoccurring customers, and that reoccurring customer is going to go to you and pay you.
Yeah.
And it had parallel with what I was doing. So the economic end of it was there. And then when I would travel, I would go, you know, I'd be in New York or Chicago or LA, and I'd see these really awesome barbershops. The build out was cool. It had a great vibe. It had a culture.
Yeah.
And I never really saw that here in the East Valley. And so when I sold in 2017, I went to my wife and I said, hey, I want to open a barbershop. And just to give you a little background, I didn't even know how to hold a clipper. And I obviously didn't have my license. I didn't even know a barber. I just knew Dave. He was my barber. Yeah. I didn't know anyone I had no idea. And so, but she always believes in me, and she's like, okay, like what are we gonna do? And I said, well, I'm gonna call. I have a commercial broker. I was like, I'm gonna call him and have him look at some spots, and I think we can do a really sick barbershop.
Wow.
And so I remember everything I do, I just follow my gut.
Yeah.
You know, so I felt like I needed to do that.
Yeah.
And that was enough for me to like start. And we found a spot, which is our first location we opened. Next month, it'll be 2 years, but it's on Higley and Baseline.
Okay.
So I found this little 900 square foot. It's like a little rectangle, you know? And I was like, all right, I feel like this is where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So then my broker's like looking at me. He's like, all right, bro. He's like, so do you have a name? I was like, no, we're kind of working on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll let you know. He's like, all right, we probably need a name before we submit an LOI, which is a letter of intent to even start the negotiation process. Yeah. So we went home, we had all these different names. And then my son, actually at that time, he was 2, and he was just sitting there, and we had all these names that just didn't quite fit right. And we were in our kitchen, and we were like, let's just call it Nico's, because that's his name, Nico.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that has a ring to it. That's good. I was like, all right, cool. So I called the broker and I said, hey, it's gonna be called Nico's Barbershop. You know, I went online, got the LLC and stuff. And he's like, okay. He's like, one thing that will help us is having a logo. Do you have a logo? I'll put it on the LOI. And I'm like, all right, I'll get back to you. So my wife, who's a graphic designer, she got a logo. She killed it. She got a great, you know, brand together and stuff. Yeah, and she does great with that. So, you know, I said, all right, I got the logo, man.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, cool, I'll submit it. So anyways, we negotiated on that spot and we got it. And I remember we went and signed a 5-year lease on it. I put a bunch of money down.
Wow.
And then it was like, okay, do we know any barbers? And it's like, I'll figure it out. That's like my slogan.
So you're kind of just like step by step, like back to what you were saying, like you just do it step by step until you got that figured out. Yeah,
and that's how I put my mind. Like when I was selling, I had to do everything step by step, or else I got overwhelmed. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I always put things in little parts. So for instance, if I knocked on a door, I didn't think, oh man, I got to sell the system. In my mind was, I have to get inside their house. And that was my goal.
Okay.
And then when I got inside the house, it was the next step. So that's how I put my mind always. It's not the end, but what's the next step?
Yeah.
And then it's like you're unlocking a door.
Yeah. So that's how I had to do it. I said, okay, I got a space. What's the next step? Let's negotiate the lease to get the lease. Okay, I got the lease. This is all right. We have the keys.
Cool.
All right, what do I got? I got to find a contractor. I got to build it. And so I just did everything step by step.
That's super cool.
Yeah, and
because I think I think a lot of people are like so overwhelmed by starting a business.
Yeah.
I think they need this huge business plan, like everything set up before they take that first step. But
yeah. You're almost better off in a lot of ways not knowing where you're going and thinking different. That's why you see a lot of entrepreneurs doing stuff in spaces that they don't have experience in, because you think different. Yeah. And it causes you to be different and to look at it from a different angle. And that helps. So anyways, we found a good contractor and we started building out, and we had some money set aside, so we knew we didn't want to skip any corners. We wanted a really good looking space. And through that time, I was just hoping and praying I would find the right people and find a barber. And it was, have you guys seen the movie The Little Giants?
Yeah,
it's old school. So they all the team found each other around town, they found Icebox, the linebacker, and then the guy that was catching the toilet paper roll, So that's how I felt like it was. It was just the universe was putting people together in my path and helping it happen, And so I am a huge believer with entrepreneurs that are trying things. If you work hard and are doing the right thing and you believe in what you're doing, things just happen. Yeah. And it's like a beautiful thing, when you think about it. And anyone that has a hard time conceptualizing that maybe can look back 2 or 3 years in the past and think about how things have happened to get them to the moment now. Yeah. And they'll start to see those connections, those things that have happened. And so that's what happened. We found people, and we opened, and in March of 18, and I honestly was hoping just to break even. I remember the night before we opened, we were sitting there like, okay, how many haircuts do we have to do just to break even? I was doing the numbers on a napkin, we just got to do 10 haircuts and break. Okay. For me, it was just a fun project. I just wanted to do it. I didn't think anything of it.
Were you nervous?
Oh yeah, you're always nervous. And I was talking to someone today about what the perception of an entrepreneur is and what the entrepreneur actually is feeling is totally different. Yeah. And how I compare it is being an entrepreneur is like being a stunt devil, like Evel Knievel. Like if you're in the big stadium and you see the fire going off and Evel Knievel's getting ready to jump all the buses, people look at that and like, oh man, this is so cool. Like, look at his outfit. Like, this guy's fearless. But they don't see his heart beating and they don't see the sweat in his helmet and how nervous he is. And if he makes one wrong move, he's going to die. And that's kind of entrepreneur where if you make a wrong move, you can financially die. Yeah. And then, or financially really, really hurt yourself and be in the hospital for 6 months and have to learn to walk again. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And they don't see all the hours that Evel Knievel put in that arena. Yeah. Practicing and jumping. They just see how cool it is. So I feel like almost entrepreneurship has become kind of glamorized, where they think it's easy and it's cool, but it is very hard. Like even right now, I'm sitting here and I'm worrying about stuff that is going on with my business. Yeah, there's things that I'm concerned about right now, and that's just what you do. But so I was nervous. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. But that's part of it, because what happens is Evel Knievel jumps, and when he lands, that is the best feeling. Like, dang, I did that. You know what I mean? Like all that hard work, all that nervousness, all that sweat, I landed it. Yeah. And you look back at the buses and you're like, I did it, and everyone's cheering, and that's great. But that's what grows inside of you to do it again. You know what I mean?
So that feeling that you're chasing is worth all the hard work, all the stress.
Yeah.
All the
so is that how you overcome nerves, and is that how you handle it? Is by looking at what it can be, or is there other ways that you handle that too?
Yeah, the way I like to look at it, and again, keeping the perspective of someone listening to this and maybe starting out.
Yeah.
Right. When you start a business, you look at the big things. You look at, like for me, what's the name going to be?
Yeah.
What's the branding? What's the shop going to look like? These are all big things. But when you get going, and the thing that really helps you calm your nerves and focus in is focusing on all the small things. Like, what are all the small things that we need to improve? What are all the small issues that we're having? And that's what helps you continually get through, you know, without a doubt. But the nerves don't go away. So, you know, using the example of the Evel Knievel, he's nervous the whole time. He's not immune to being scared. It's just he's using that to create a feeling and overcoming that, you know, and then that feeling of landing it is what overpowers those nerves and gets him to want to do it again. You know, I guess kind of like the bunny hill, you know, once you stop being nervous, you need to go on to the next thing, you know, and once the blues stop getting you challenged and nervous, you got to go on to the reds, and you know, that's kind of how it is.
Nice. So back to your story, you're looking at the numbers, looking at opening day, trying to
So we're looking at the numbers, like, okay, this is literally at Payway. We're on a napkin, like, okay, you know, this is what it is. All right, we need to do 10 haircuts. It's like, okay, I think we can do that. So we did that, and then we opened, and it opened really slow. And then that's the other thing. That's the worst feeling in the world. You know, opening a business, maybe the first couple days are good, but then after that, it's quiet. And then you have people that are depending on you.
Right.
And you know everything about that person. You know, if they have kids, if they're married, maybe kind of what their financial situation is like, and that's on your back. And that's one of the hardest things when you grow a business and you bring in employees. It's easier in that sense when you're just doing it on your own. You have a hustle on your own. It's on you. But when you bring in people that are trusting in you that this thing is going to work,
for sure,
and you're sitting there and watching that nobody is coming in, or you know, it's slow, it's hard. You know, but you know, you use anything negative can be a positive. You know, everything negative, the key is to turn it into a positive or use it for motivation. And so like in my life, the first negative is my dad passing away when I was young. So I grew up without a dad, but I use that every day to positively motivate me to be a great dad for my kids. And I think about the dad that I didn't have, and then I want to be a good dad for my kids. And so I think, in a weird way, I think about my dad every day, but what he wasn't. You know? And so I'm grateful for that example because it's made me better.
For sure.
You know? So, you know, you try everything, you always try to spin it, and you try to keep the negatives and turn them into positives, and then hopefully you have a winning record. Like you have way more positives than negatives, and then that's how you progress. But
cool.
So how did you market and get people in the chairs? Because you said it was good, and then
kind of dropped off.
Yeah, I had a feeling if we did a spot that aesthetically looked cool, because you look at Instagram. I mean, you guys know all about Instagram. I feel like people want to go to places that are Instagrammable. So right. And so like it's like, okay, we need to have this place be Instagrammable. Like they'll want to share that they came here, and so that was a big part, you know, just in the build out phase. And so we spent a little extra to make it a great looking shop. and we wanted the community to be involved. So we have a give back program. With, every time someone gets a haircut, we donate a meal to feed my starving children. Yeah. That's awesome. So it goes into our branding and our slogan, which is look good, do good.
Nice.
So we partner with Feed My Starving Children, and we partner also with the Child Crisis Center, and we do haircuts for the boys and girls at the Child Crisis Center here in Mesa. And that's been an amazing opportunity. Both of those, working with both of them as part of the business, that's probably my favorite thing. The days I get to cut the boys that are in the boys' home. Yeah. And just talking with them and seeing what they're up to, seeing how they're progressing, and that's when I think about it, like, that's why I did it. I wanted just to make an impact. Yeah. The money is great and that's awesome, but I wanted to have a really cool place where people can come and there could be an impact because of it. And so that's what we're all about.
How did you come up with that idea to donate a meal?
It just came. We knew that when we were starting the branding. So with the business, I think people mix up logo and brand. Yeah. That's totally different.
Explain the difference.
So the difference, a logo is just what's on your business card, the little logo stamp. Uh-huh. A brand is who you are, like your soul. Yeah. Like, what is your story? And so we wanted to create a brand that was about impact over profit. And so that's why it just came naturally, like, well, we want people to look good, but we want to do good. It's like, that's kind of what we're about. Look good, do good. That kind of encompasses what our mission is. And so we are consistently looking for new ways to give back. Like, we did a shoe drive in November. We met with another local charity this morning about ways that we can work with them, and that'll just continue to grow. Wow. And that's ultimately, people talk about, like, what are your goals for the business, is continually finding new ways to create a positive impact.
That's super cool. That's awesome. What do you do to get that message and that brand out there to people who don't know about you yet?
There's different ways you can do it. We have it on our walls in both of our shops. It's big. It's in front of people. Even in the new Mesa shop, we have a 20-foot neon that says "Look good, do good," and painted on the other wall it says, "Each meal equals one haircut for someone in need." So we put it out, and then it creates a talking point to where we can discuss that with people, and then through our social media and even our customer emails or the receipts, we have it all over there. Yeah. And the idea is, hopefully we can inspire people that have businesses to do the same things. Yeah. To think about how they can give back, because it's fun.
Do you spend more time cleaning your pool than you spend swimming in it? Then call Flamingo Pools today. Flamingo Pools is your go-to swimming pool maintenance and repair company in the East Valley. Whether it's weekly maintenance, repairs, green to cleans, or one-time cleanings, Flamingo Pools will take care of you. Honest, reliable, and innovative. Just a few of the many good things Flamingo Pools customers have to say about them. Ask them about their mineral treatment, which will keep your chemical levels down, allowing you to have a healthier bathing experience. At Flamingo Pools, they know that your pool was made to be enjoyed, so let them handle the rest. Check them out at azflamingopools.com or give them a call at 480-422-6013. Mention this podcast and you'll get your first month of maintenance completely free. That's azflamingopools.com and 480-422-6013. That's cool. So let's jump back a little bit. And so are you a barber now officially?
Yeah. So that kind of goes into the story. Okay. Yeah. So I knew when we started to build out Nico's Gilbert, I had this thought where I never want to ask someone to do something that I'm not willing to do. And I was always fascinated with just watching fades. I just watch fades, like, that's so cool, you know what I mean? Like how you can do that. For me, it was like magic, almost like playing music was awesome to watch people play guitar. And then for me, it was like, I just watch people do fades. But I didn't know. I was like, I don't know if I have time to go to school because that's a big commitment.
There's a lot of hours.
Yeah,
right?
It's 1,500 hours.
Yeah.
And I had I was juggling a couple projects, and then it was a lot.
Family.
And then I started to kick around the idea of going to school, but I wasn't super committed to it.
Yeah.
And I remember Christmas came, and I had an old business partner. He's a really good friend of mine. Sam, he got me a pair of shears. So he got me a nice set of shears and then thinning shears. And he's like, this is for you. So when you go to school, you have a nice set of shears. Like these were nice,
Yeah.
And for some reason, that was just that little edge to say, I'm going to go to school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was undecided before. I was like, I don't know if I need to. And then when he did that, I said, I got to go because he got me these.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of a funny detail. So anyways, a few weeks before we actually opened, I started school. So for the first year of business, I would go in the morning, say hi to everyone, help with whatever, get cash, put it in the drawer, and then I'd say goodbye, and then I would go to West Mesa, and go to school all day.
Oh wow.
That's awesome. So it was real ironic to me that I was like cutting, in West Mesa at a shop with an instructor, and then I owned a barber shop in Gilbert. That it was real ironic.
Yeah, that is. And
then there was times the first couple of months I would say, you know what, I'll stop in a month or two. I looked at it like an education piece. Like I kind of learned what it is like in a shop.
Yeah.
But when I would go see the barbers there at our shop, they motivated me to finish. Mm-hmm. I said, you know what, I can't let them down. I don't want them to, you know what I mean? So they were a huge motivation to me. And then through that, I began to really love it. And I was super excited to go to school every day and learn, and that was amazing. And then, I graduated, and I got my license in February of 19. Nice. So I've been licensed for about a year, and then I remember the first day, it was a Saturday, I got to go cut in my own shop after having it open for a year. Yeah. And that was really cool. That was real. It meant a lot to me. So,
So do you have to be licensed to cut hair at a barber shop?
Yeah, you have to be licensed.
And it just meant a lot to you to be able to do that too, and know what your guys were doing to do yourself.
Yep. And then I love cutting hair. Like,
does it make you feel good?
Oh yeah, I love cutting hair every day. I wake up happy. Mm-hmm. I'm excited. Like today I went and cut some clients for a few hours, and I'm coming. I came here straight from there. Yeah. But
a little hair in your hair still.
Oh, for real? My bad. But that's awesome. I love it. And it's so fun to be able to connect. And then I cut in both of our shops. I do a couple days in Gilbert and a couple days in Mesa. I'm able to see what's going on and stay connected. And it's a blast.
So you're pretty much cutting hair on a daily basis with the rest of your employees, the rest of your guys. Cool.
Yeah.
Does that help you kind of have a better connection with them, like an eye level connection? You're not like above them, you're doing what they're doing too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And then my thing is I look up to all of them. Yeah. I don't feel above them in any way, and I hope they don't feel that. And I look up to them, and so that's been a great piece. And one of the things I learned, starting the business and then being away from it, going to school, was to get trust, which is what you want as an owner. You want people to trust you. Mm-hmm. You have to give trust. Yeah. It's a reciprocal action. So for instance, as a father, I learned that too, but to be able to have the trust of people, they have to know that you trust them. And so that was the cool thing about learning the first year, not being able to be around a lot. Like, I trusted them with everything, and I did everything I could, to help the business grow and continue to progress. And so I was very expressive on how much trust I had in each and every one of them, and then that is reciprocated. And so that's something I learned.
So something that kind of like goes along with that is when you were looking for barbers to hire, and I'm sure you still look for barbers to hire at times, being a barber is a big deal because you like, I know for myself, like I really care about my hair. Like I like the way it looks, and I'm sure like Don's the same way. Like you want it to look good, and when it looks good, like you feel better about yourself. And hair is like a big deal that a lot of people don't really think about. So how do you hire somebody that has that passion to change somebody? It can change somebody's life.
And
like,
know how good they are besides being licensed.
Yeah.
You know if they have that skill set that you're looking for.
So I hire off of two things. I hire and those neither of those two things is skills.
Okay.
So I hire off of two things. I hire off of humility and empathy. If someone is humble, they will show up on time. They will work hard. They will continually want to learn. If someone is empathetic, they will be great in customer service. Because being a barber is customer service.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
So, and they will care about the clients, actually have the empathy towards the clients. Everything else can be learned.
Yeah.
So that's how I qualify. Are you humble and are you empathetic? And if you're not the greatest barber yet, if you have those two traits, you will be, you know. And so that's what we use when, you know, look at people to hire, to bring in.
That's awesome. Yeah, because the guy that took care of me when I went, he definitely had those two traits. He was a really good guy.
Good.
And I felt comfortable.
Good.
Like growing up, my mom cut my hair, and I felt like I was almost at home in the barber shop, except for I wasn't like.
I was gonna say I'm more nervous at home when my mom.
I know.
Yeah, it ends up being a buzz. At the end.
Mom's great. If you're listening, Mom, you're great.
And my mom is too. She just needed some weight off her shoulders, like
for sure. She needed some me time.
Yeah, it was time for me to just take care of myself. Anyways,
how did you learn to hire based off those two traits?
It's something that I learned early on from experience. Yeah. And so, for instance, yesterday I spoke with the students at where I went to school, Mesa Barber School, about being a professional. They had me in there, and I did a class, and which was an amazing opportunity. And but what I told them is, I said, look, guys, being a professional is about everything besides the things you're learning about here. You're learning how to use your clippers, you're learning how to use your shears, and how to, do fades and do shaves. That's all great. You're going to need those things. But what will set you apart from being good to great is the things that don't require any talent. That's being humble, positive energy, positive body language, passion, all those things. That's what really sets you apart in any field that you're in. It's not necessarily the skills, it's all the extra stuff.
Yeah. Okay, so tell us a bit about the experience customers can expect when they come into Nico's to get a haircut.
Yeah, so that's the biggest thing that we focus on, honestly. There's so many barbershops. I mean, if you just get in your car and drive and say, okay, I'm going to count how many barbershops I see while I drive, you will be surprised. And I notice it just because it's what I do, but I mean, the average person doesn't notice it. So the first thing is you have to find some way to set yourself apart, and we do that by creating a really clean environment. We offer free beverages. We have games, at our locations to play. It's a family friendly. One of the things that we really focus on is, I feel like a lot of people are almost scared of going to barbershops because they don't know what to say. It's real masculine and macho. And that was one of the things that we wanted to kind of nip right away when we started. We wanted to be a very family friendly environment. And so that's the first thing we'll focus on, but a good consultation, understanding what you're needing. And then we accept walk-ins, but most of our stuff is on appointment, so we take our time for the cut. We time out our cuts. We don't try to get as many done as possible, as quickly as possible. So we take the time necessary to get what you need. So
nice. You think that experience keeps people coming back? Yeah,
it's funny. People will go to a decent barber that they have a really good feeling about, a good relationship, good conversation, than like the best barber that they don't get talked to, and it's like a not very clean environment, and maybe just not the best environment. So that's we want to have the best of everything.
Mm-hmm. How do you handle like an upset customer, say their hair wasn't cut the way they wanted it? Or...
Yeah. No, it happens. I mean, any business you're gonna have to deal with the good and the bad. And one thing that you learn is when someone's happy, they'll tell a couple people, but when someone's unhappy, they'll want to tell everyone. So it's very hard. That's why I'm so grateful when people leave like a positive review or that means the world to any business owner or business, more than you think. So I'm like very avid on leaving reviews. Like if I go eat somewhere I like it, I'll go on Google and leave a review, because I know how that's how that is. For sure. But the best thing you can do is most of them just want to be heard. Mm-hmm. So just listen and never be defensive. Just accept it and use it as an opportunity to get better and to learn, because there's something that went wrong. It's not out of thin air, and so what happened, how can we fix it going forward, or use it as an opportunity to get better. And that's kind of going back to when something negative happens, you can turn it into a positive. That's cool. So
cool. So would you say now that you have a passion for cutting hair, or is it still just a passion for just running and creating a business in general?
Yeah, it's both. Yeah.
Helps,
I love cutting hair. It's awesome. It's so fun. I love the people. I love connecting with people, and it's really cool because you guys know, like the older you get, it's harder to see the old friends, and you say, let's go to lunch or let's go to dinner sometime. But that's, especially when you have kids and stuff, it gets harder and harder. But being a barber, they come in, they're sitting in your chair for 30 minutes. You get to talk to them and catch. So it's like a built-in way to stay in touch and keep in touch with people. And then at the same time, like you said, I feel like it's helping people feel good about themselves, giving them confidence. And so there's so many positive things that I love about it. And then the artistry of sculpting someone's hair and doing all those things is great as well. But my main focus is the big picture and the growth of the business. So I purposely cap the hours I work. Because I have so many other things to work on to continually help the business progress and to grow. So would I love to cut more and put more hours in? For sure, but I almost have to limit it. So I'm focusing on the other points of the business, because that's my main goal, is to support everyone else and to support the growth. Yeah.
And you opened another location recently, right? Does that mean you just been so busy at your first location that you needed to expand?
Yeah. I got to the point where we were booked out for 2 or 3 days at a time. Yeah. And so you have good problems and bad problems as a business owner. You want to work through good problems. You know, a good problem is too many people are coming through the door. Bad problem is nobody's coming through the door. So for sure, you always want to have a good problem, which is what was happening. Yeah. A lot of people were walking in. We were booked out. We started the day with 60 to 70 appointments. Wow. And we just couldn't take anyone. So did I expect to do a second location? No, I was just hoping the first one would break even.
Would survive.
Yeah, and it was a fun project, and it was just exceeded that. So then it became to the point where it's like, we need to look at a second location. About a year in, I had the feeling in my gut, okay, we need to do another one. So.
That's quick. That's
it was very quick.
Open up the second location.
Yeah, very quick.
That's super cool.
Yeah. That is cool. Yeah.
Do you have like a kind of a game plan of how many locations you want to open, or are you just taking it step by step?
That's how I roll, bro. Just step by step. Yeah. Right now it's getting Mesa stabilized and flowing really good, and to the point where we can't.
You're booked out.
We're booked out. We can't. We have all the chairs filled. Everyone is doing great, and it's about looking at the culture of it. Is everyone making good money? It's a number of things, but once we get to that point, we'll probably look at doing another one, and then within that there's other projects and initiatives we're working on, and we're hopeful of doing so
for you, like, is location a big deal, or no matter where you put it, are you confident that you could get traffic in?
It's interesting. That's a good question, because location is a big deal,
right?
Because you kind of have to look at who's around you. So for instance, if we did a Nico's in Central Mesa where all the barbershops are $15 a cut, a lot of people look at cost over value.
Yeah.
You know, so we charge a little bit more, but we focus on our value. That's one of our point of emphasis isn't like cost cutters or great clips where how they do it is they do a cheap cut, but they do it fast.
Yeah.
And they're going to skip corners. Ours is value and service. So we have to up the price. So we have to pick areas that are a little more in line with value and service. And so, you know, we'll probably stay East Valley, you know, for a while and, you know, and find the right areas that, you know, best fit those objectives. Yeah.
You also have a good presence on social media. How is that? How have you done that and how have you maintained it too? Yeah.
So everything is visual, you know, and so we have a couple photographers that we rotate. We just bring them in. So it's always the hardest thing, you know, as a business. People think it's easy to run an account, a social media account, but it's hard. You know, it's harder than people think, you know, because you have to deal with content. Like, what am I posting? What am I saying? The frequency of it. Then you go 2 weeks and you feel like, I haven't posted in forever. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's hard to stay consistent with that. But the best thing we've done is we've had good photographers that we've had come through, constant content ideas, and just post it the best we can. And then also do our best. Like, I remember when we opened Nico's Gilbert, we were liking like everyone that went to the gym there. So we would look at the businesses around who's tagged there, and then we would go through like and comment kids in the area. So we were spending like an hour a night, like just liking, commenting, and just trying to get that built up. So that really helped. And we've done that in Mesa as well a bit with the gym nearby and other things like liking and commenting. So it's a little bit of a grind and something you do like on your couch at night when you're just chilling out watching TV and stuff. But there's so many little things you can do. But the best thing is, you know, make sure you have a content strategy. How are you getting your photos done? What kind of message? Because your Instagram is basically your business card.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so people are like, instead of saying, do you have a card, like, what's your Instagram?
Yeah.
Because
that's true. It's so true.
Because everyone, you can look at someone's Instagram like, oh, that's what they're about. You know, or that's what it looks like. That's the experience there. So I try to keep that in mind, what it should be on our business card. And so when with the feed, we try to make it what we're about, what we do. Yeah. And the look we have, things like that.
Yeah.
So.
And what's super cool about Instagram now, what I love about stories and story highlights, is your feed can kind of be like aesthetically pleasing and like show what you're about in your brand. And then with your story highlights, I've seen on your page specifically that you show your cuts, so it shows that you're legit, you're doing business, you have good cuts, and shows that authenticity too.
Yeah, it's just like your business card. Yeah, in a lot of ways. That's awesome. For sure.
Cool.
So we have a long way to go with that, and we can do better. All of us can probably say the same thing. We all can do better at that, but the key is just keep trying.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so I'm a bit interested to hear, kind of to jump ships real quick, about some of the other business ventures that you've done. Because I know you mentioned an alarm company, but I know that you have a couple other things that you've done as well.
You've dabbled in a lot of areas.
We probably need a different podcast for each one, but we're kind of just interested to hear a bit about these other things you've been doing on the side.
Yeah. So I've always done little businesses since I was young. I remember when we were like super young. This is elementary school. We would. It was kind of bad, but we'd steal the little chrome tire air plugs off of cars, and then I'd go to school and sell them for people's bikes. You know,
that's super cool.
So like I was just always doing stuff to start something. It was always easy for me. And then I remember I started like a pool company. Oh yeah. Yeah, and then we had the alarm company. And then a couple years ago, we started a missionary supply store called Preach Supply, which is on Greenfield and Baseline. I have a wallet company called Undivided Wallets. You know, we launched that with a Kickstarter and raised way more than I ever thought was even going to happen. And so I was like, we have something here. It was just an idea of mine. And just a few different things. But, you know, my wife's a creative as well. So they have a t-shirt printing company, so they print a lot of stuff for the local sports teams, and so she's always designing stuff, so that's fun. And I'm big into real estate, so right now we're looking at a couple, like a real estate deal, you know, and I just like to do so many different things.
Wow.
And so I can imagine myself as like an old man in the rocking chair one day, and my kids are like, or like someone that doesn't know me, like, what did you do? You know, what was your career? I'm going to be like, I don't even know, man. You know what I mean? I just picked the year and I'll tell you what I was doing. So, yeah. So that's how, you know, it's funny with businesses. Some you begin some and you end some.
Yeah.
But there is no end to entrepreneurship. So, and I was talking to a friend about this the other day because he is getting out of a business and trying to figure out his next move.
Yeah.
And I said, honestly, there's no beginning and no end. Because something ends, that's just the beginning of something else. But sometimes you don't realize what you're beginning.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just all this huge process, you know. And so you learn things from some businesses and you make some mistakes, and some come out way better than you thought they were going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And you ride the wave. And,
Yeah.
you know, so, but overall, you just hustle.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Have you like had things happen in your life to inspire you to start these businesses, or do you just kind of
Just come up with an idea.
Yeah.
And roll with it.
What inspires you to start each one of these? Because a lot of them are all very different. I mean,
yeah, for sure. It's just kind of like going back to the idea of how you write a song. It just starts with an idea.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're just playing like, oh, that sounds really cool. Like let's build something off of that.
Yeah.
You know, but the reason why you like that riff or that little part that you just played is because it speaks to you.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds good to you, you know, and then you build. Like there's so many businesses that I've kind of started, but I stopped. It just wasn't developing.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then there's some that you have that idea and it just naturally progresses and it continues to go. Like right now I have a few little riffs, you know, that I'm trying to build songs off of, and we'll see, maybe 2 of them will be a completed song. Right. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's how it is. You know, you follow the sparks, you follow the little ideas and see what happens. You know?
Have any of your businesses failed or gone out of business, or have you been able to sell most of them?
Been able to sell most of them. There's a couple that, you know, not really failed or out of business, but it was just done, you know. There wasn't much to it. Yeah. But luckily, especially with the alarm company, we had some really tough times. Yeah. Like pivoting, and because there was a lot of money in and a lot of money out. Mm-hmm. And I can probably talk for an hour about that, but but I learned a lot through that. And the main thing I learned in business is make sure you have the right people on your team around you. Mm-hmm. You know, because when you do go through those moments, you realize who that shows true colors. Yeah. You know, so everything negative that happens to an entrepreneur, the great ones turn them into positives and their learning experiences. There's never anything really bad that happens. You know, that's why, you know, most of the entrepreneurs you see or talk to have always had some failures or some things that didn't quite work out, you know, but they spin them and then it just makes them better. Mm-hmm. You know.
Cool. So one more question.
Yeah.
It's like, so obviously you love what you do. You love staying busy and always creating something new. Mm-hmm. How do you balance that with your family life as well? Yeah.
So that was, you know, with my alarm company, my friends and family know I had an issue because I was on my phone all the time. Yeah. And I could never really detach myself. And so when I sold in 2017, I almost had a detox from being connected. Yeah. And it was honestly a huge blessing where I am so much better than I was, you know, where I can put it away and focus on my family. And so part of that is, you know, getting home, setting the phone down and just leaving it, not keeping it in your pocket, and trying to, you know, I try to spend as much time as I can with my family and be with my kids, and that's what I want to do. That's fun for me, you know. Uh-huh. So it you know, your question is, how do you balance everything? It's impossible. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like the question, like, what's the meaning of life? It's like, the people have different ideas and stuff, but there's so much to it that there's so many meanings and so many things you can do. You can't balance work as an entrepreneur and your personal life. It all just goes together. Mm-hmm. You have to understand what you need at the time. Yeah. So for instance, there's times where your family needs you more and you need to be present with your family. Your work's going to kind of go down a little bit and you need to get off of grinding so hard and give more time. And then there's times where the business is struggling. You need to up that, and then you're going to lose a little bit of family time. Yeah. And on family, spiritual, everything else. So you almost have to understand what's needed and adjust,
So you have to be awake and aware of what's going on around you.
So for instance, if I'm super into the business and I'm not aware of what's going on with my family, and or even, I'm a spiritual person with on my spiritual side, if I'm deficient in that area, I need to say, you know what, I need to give myself more time in my family section or my spiritual section. You know what I'm saying? And then adjust a little bit. Yeah. So it's hard to stay balanced. You try to stay balanced the best you can, but it's almost realizing what needs feeding, you know?
Cool. Give us your best piece of advice for an entrepreneur that's wanting to start a business.
Man, this is a hard one. Best piece of advice for an entrepreneur wanting to start a business. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The best piece of advice is nobody knows what they're doing. From the smallest company to the biggest company. Everyone is trying to figure it out. So the best piece of advice I would give you is know that everyone is figuring it out, and just work hard every day to figure it out, because we're all in the same boat. There's all these, Nike and Google, all these companies we look up to, or Amazon. They're just trying to figure it out. What's next? What are we doing? It's just they're just on a bigger scale. You have bigger issues than a small business, but we're all just trying to figure it out. So it's nice to realize that and understand that.
It's cool. Okay, well, before we close up here, we have a little game we're gonna play with you to finish.
Okay.
So with this game, you have 60 seconds to answer a list of questions. There's 20 questions total, and so we'll just see how many questions that you can get through within that time period.
I'm not gonna be
some
good.
are fun.
I'm not gonna be good at this.
No, you're good.
So we'll get the clock ready here. Reggie, you want to start us off from the top?
From the top, let's do it.
All right, ready? 3, 2, 1.
Favorite junk food?
Doritos.
Superpower.
Flying.
Music you'd turn on when nobody's around?
Classical.
If you're stuck on an island, what's one thing you would bring?
Guitar.
Guilty pleasure?
Guilty pleasure is pass.
Favorite quote?
Favorite quote.
Can summarize if you need to.
Dang, there's so many good quotes. My favorite quote is I have so many. I don't have a favorite. Okay. I'm sorry. I gotta get back to you on that.
If you could have dinner with anyone in time, who would it be?
Anyone in time? Probably Napoleon Hill.
Nice. What's your spirit animal?
Wolf.
Nice. What's your zodiac sign?
I'm a Pisces.
Okay.
There's our time. Dang, that was pretty good.
That was really good. Yeah.
9. Well, we passed the guilty pleasure, but
yeah. So 8. That was nice.
The guilty pleasure that's a good one.
Well, next time you start another business, we'll have you back on the podcast and you can answer that question.
For sure. I'm down. Yeah, I'm down.
We're ready for it too.
That was fun. Before we close up, just why don't you take a minute to let our listeners know just anything else you want to say about Nico's, where we can find you, where we can look you up.
Yeah, that's great. So you can book an appointment at nicosbarbershop.com, or you can call us or walk in anytime. We have 2 locations, one in Gilbert and one in Mesa. Our Gilbert location is on Higley and Baseline, and our Mesa location is on Greenfield and Brown.
Cool. And I definitely recommend anyone getting a haircut to go. Not only are you supporting a local business, but you're supporting these charity and these funds that that Rajiv is helping out here. So it's a super cool cause that you're doing.
Yeah, it's definitely
Thanks,
worth
guys.
it. They do an incredible job.
Yeah, and they do a good job cutting your hair.
Cool.
So.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, thanks
Thank
again
you.
for
All
coming
right,
on.
guys. Thanks for having me.
Catch you next time.
All right, brother.